Okay. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, please.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, July 6, 2020, 7:04 p.m. Heidrich?
Here.
Holtmeyer?
Here.
Obermark?
Here.
Hatke?
Here.
Pettit? Scornia?
Here.
Sullentrup?
Here.
Wessels?
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, so we have a scout with us. We have a new crowd here this time. So we have a scout, Connor Dunker, from Troop 680, Sacred Heart School in Valley Park, and he's working on his Community Merit Badge. So, Connor, if you'd please lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you, Connor.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the regular and special council meetings dated June 15th and 29th, 2020? Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Aye.
Hatke?
Aye.
Scornia?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Okay, having read the minutes, are there any comments or questions?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Heidrich, to approve the minutes from our last two meetings dated June 15 and June 29, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have the collector's report summary for March 2020, investment report summary, March 2020, liquor license for Elijah Limited, 600 West Front Street, microfilm and disposal of records, final pay request for Capri Pools and Aquatics, aquatic facility design stipend, final pay request for Brockmiller Construction, aquatic facility design stipend, liquor license renewals, and we've been asked to postpone item 8C.
Okay. Any questions on any of the items on the consent agenda?
With
Make
the changes, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Heidrich, to approve the items on the consent agenda, plus the postponement of the item. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the items. Thank you.
Priority items, Washington Fire Department officers.
Okay. They recently had election of officers at the fire department. Nothing has changed this year, so once again, our fire chief is Tim Frankenberg, the deputy chief is Mike Holtmeyer, and the assistant chief is Nick Risch. And these are for one-year terms, and we always approve their leadership every year, so we'll just need a motion.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Heidrich, seconded by Patke, to approve the leadership of the Washington Fire Department. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the item. Thank you.
Mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments. Resolution presentation, Ardell Schelick.
Do I see Ardell?
Ardell's not here. I don't see him.
Alan is.
Alan's here.
Okay, resolution presentation, Alan Whitworth.
Got to keep going around.
You got a long walk.
To leave a gap.
Been a while. Fine.
Pretty good, Neil.
No, I don't see him.
I was gonna call him, but I figured he would remember.
I figured he was a big boy. So anyway, okay. Well, whatever, we'll give that to him or make sure he gets it. So you all recognize Alan Whitworth here. He served on our Board of Adjustment for 15 years, served on the Board of Adjustment for 15 years. And in addition to that, Alan has been a very active person in our community. And I know personally, whenever I've had a question about something, I always felt very comfortable going to Alan and getting his sense of the issue and things like that. And always appreciated your help with things, or just your sharing of your knowledge. Let's put it that way. And the one committee that you did serve on with us was when we were working to take our lot sizes from 10,000 square feet down to 7,500, and you were part of that committee.
My favorite committee I was on was the occupancy permits.
Oh, the occupancy permits, okay, all right.
That was my favorite because it made a lot of difference.
Yeah, it was important.
It really did.
It really made a big difference in our
Yes, it
community.
did.
So we have a resolution, City of Washington, Missouri. Thank you, Alan Whitworth. Whereas Alan Whitworth has been a member of the Board of Adjustment for 15 years, and whereas during his 15 years in office, he has given his time and effort to serve the citizens of the City of Washington, Missouri. And whereas he has served faithfully and has played a vital role in the important work in the community. And whereas he has been an influence for good in the growth and progress of our community. And whereas Alan Whitworth is entitled to just recognition for these efforts. Now therefore I, Sandy Lucy, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, and speaking on behalf of the Board of Adjustment and all our citizens, do hereby tender to Alan Whitworth this resolution extending our deep appreciation for his 15 years of service to the community, and order this resolution spread upon the records of the City of Washington, Missouri, and a copy thereof delivered to Alan Whitworth. Signed, Sandy Lucy, Mayor, and Mary Trentman, City Clerk. There you go. I'd love to give you a hug, but we're going to do that about at Christmas time. I'll give you a hug.
I would like the City of Washington for allowing me to be on the planning and zoning already, the Board of Appeals, and occupancy permits, and a Board of Adjustment. And it's really been a pleasure, because my heart and soul is in Washington, Missouri. It really is. I mean it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Alan.
Alan.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Alan.
Thank you. We're going to have cream puffs Wednesday morning at his house.
Oh, good. Okay, good deal. All right. Okay, thank you, Alan.
Resolution presentation, Katie Dickhouse.
Okay, Katie? So Katie is another one of those volunteers who has served our community. I believe we're honoring her today for 4 years on the Library Board of Trustees, but I believe that you started maybe as a shelver, or you worked part-time when you were in high school?
College.
In college, okay. So that was the beginning of your love, I guess, for the library.
That's correct.
So anyway, so we thank you for your service. We have a resolution, City of Washington, Missouri. Thank you, Katie Dickhouse. Whereas Katie Dickhouse has been a member of the Library Board of Trustees for 4 years, and whereas during her 4 years in office, she has given her time and effort to serve the citizens of the City of Washington, Missouri, and whereas she has faithfully served in her capacity as a member of the Library Board of Trustees on the Director Hiring Committee in 2019, Chair of the Library Tax Levy Committee in 2019, and 2019-2020 Library Board of Trustees President. And whereas Katie has played a vital role in the important work in the community, and her dedication to the Library Board of Trustees has won respect by the community. And whereas Katie Dickhouse is entitled to just recognition for these efforts. Now therefore I, Sandy Lucy, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, and speaking on behalf of the Library Board of Trustees and all our citizens, do hereby tender to Katie Dickhouse this resolution extending our deep appreciation for her 4 years of service to the community, and order this resolution spread upon the records of the City of Washington, Missouri, and a copy thereof delivered to Katie Dickhouse. Signed, Sandy Lucy, Mayor, and Mary Trentman, City Clerk. There you go. get what you needed? Okay. You want this one?
Billy, you have to do that thing. It's been a long walk for you.
Okay.
Board of Appeals appointment.
Okay, so tonight, we have the name of Joe McGowan in front of you, and this would be asking your approval for an appointment to the Board of Appeals. His term would end in June of 2025. Any questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Obermark, to approve the appointment of Joe McGowan to the Board of Appeals. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the appointment. Thank you.
Board of Adjustment appointments.
Okay, so with Allen and Ardell leaving the Board of Adjustment, we have two new appointments. The first is Kevin Creedy, and his term will be expiring in September of 2021, as he is filling the unexpired term of Allen Whitworth. And then we also have Jason Pellin, and his term would expire in September 2025, and that will fill the vacancy left by Ardell Schelick. So, any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Sullentrup, to approve the appointments of Kevin Creedy and Jason Pellin to the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the appointments. Thank you.
2020 Council Liaison assignments.
You will also find in your packet the council liaison appointments this year. We actually, I don't know if anything has changed on this. And then the only thing that we've added is the Community Relations Board. Now, that's what we're calling it right now. That name will be determined, and on that would be Steve Sullentrup and Mark Wessels. So, do we usually approve those? I guess we do, or do we make a motion? So, Mary, do we usually approve these?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved. I'll make a motion.
Did you say something?
I said something.
Did you say it first?
Make a motion.
Okay, so you can second it. Okay, all right. All right, so we have a motion by Holtmeyer, seconded by Patke, to approve the 2020 Council Committee Liaison assignments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the assignments. Thank you. I'll be glad when we all get, if we ever get back up here, because you guys are way out there.
You don't know who Joe is? I thought you were in the audience.
Public hearings, rezone 800 and 902 Locust Street from R1B Single Family Residential and C1 Light Commercial to PDR Planned Residential, and approve the development plan.
Okay, Sal?
All right, thank you. So I'm going to go over the development plan and the rezoning here a little bit, and then Mcbride also has representatives here to go over in depth the plans, the renderings of the four types of homes, the single-family homes, as well as the marketing material that'll be required as part of the development agreement. But just a little bit of background to remind everyone, I'm sure as everyone is really familiar, we've been talking about this for over a year and a half now, but all these properties highlighted are the properties in question that we're looking to redevelop. They all currently are city-owned, and we have a contract with Mcbride Homes to purchase that with an extended closing pending this approval, and then a development plan, or development agreement approval that will be at the next meeting. Obviously, this is an old aerial. This is the most up-to-date that we have, but Frykes has been torn down. This house has been demolished, as well as the old trailer park obviously removed, and then this last house is the most recent demolition. The zoning of the property, here it goes, primarily is R1B, single-family residential. There is a small piece there that is still zoned C1 light commercial from whenever Frykes was there. I think that was their old parking lot or part of their parking lot. However, everything that you see here would be requested to rezone to the PDR planned residential. And as you are all aware, the planned residential is set forth in our code to allow for unique developments that are not necessarily fit directly into the R1B or any of our unplanned districts. It allows them to submit their plan up front with the rezoning and have that plan approved with that ordinance specifically. So it's not just an approval of the rezoning, it's approval of the plan that is submitted. And so the plan that is submitted here, you can see, shows 27 single-family lots. And so there are 5 lots on the west side here, and I believe 7 on the east of Locust Street. So there's 12 lots total that will access Locust Street. And then you can see here there is a proposed Maple Valley Court will be a new drive that comes in into the subject property and terminates in a approved hammerhead. We do require in our code that all streets terminate in either a 96-foot cul-de-sac or a 120-foot hammerhead. In this case, they chose the hammerhead. They have it made more sense with the shape of the property and the topography that they have there. The remainder of the lots will access this Maple Valley Court, as you can see here, and there is some land set aside for our Bush Creek Greenway as well. So a lot of these lots will back up into our new Bush Creek Greenway, the new amenity that will connect Jefferson Street all the way through to the eastern trailhead of the Riverfront Trail. Just a little bit more zoomed in here. You can see most of the lots are below 6,000 square feet, hence why they needed to go to the planned residential. There's 2 things that really kind of triggered that need, given the shape of the property and the topography and the number of units to make the project work. They're anywhere from 3,800 square feet up to over 6,000, and so they do kind of vary there. That is, slightly more dense than what you'd see in a typical R1B, but this is, what we're calling downtown adjacent. It's just outside of our downtown district, where many lots are smaller than 6,000 square feet, and you get into a pretty dense area. So we think the proposed density is not out of question for the area. We don't think it's a necessary detriment to the surrounding property, given the previous use was higher density and higher intensity use with the mobile home park. This will be more compatible with the existing uses in the area. We think it's actually a pretty good step up to what it was previously. Second reason that they needed to go to a planned district was the proposed street. They are proposing this Maple Valley Court to be 30-foot wide and a 40-foot right-of-way. Typically, any new street would require to be 35 feet. However, in this case, they are asking to have, and we are recommending and agreed to do no parking on one side only. So it'd actually be this inside curve here where there's less room. You actually have more distance on this outside where you'd allow parking. And that way, with the no parking on one side, it still meets the fire code requirements. So we actually do allow in unplanned districts 30-foot streets with no parking on one side. We typically, if it's unplanned and they're not coming to you for approval on that, it's no more than 10 homes. So in this case, the need for the because they are meeting the no parking on one side and the 30 feet, but the need for the planned district is because of the fact that there's more than 10 units there.
Have we done that anywhere else in town?
Yes, so Stonecrest, the new extension of Stonecrest has that.
Okay.
I think it's Mooncrest Court is 30 feet. And that, we just approved that in 2017, was a new rule we allowed to happen, but that was the first one, and this will be the second.
And they have parking on one side as
Correct.
well.
Yes, yep. Stormwater will be handled on a lot of the common ground areas. There's a floodway in this area here, as well as along Bush Creek. All of the lots will have a portion of them in the floodplain, but none of them in the floodway, and the houses will be built actually 2 feet above the 500-year floodplain, which is actually higher than we require. Our city code requires 2 feet above the 100. Mcbride, just for their own insurance policies, is grading the site and building the homes at 2 feet above 500. So they will have additional elevation out of the floodplain to really lessen the chance that there will be any water in the homes here. It's a 500-year flood in an area we have not seen water the elevation does go up significantly here in this location. So them going above 200 or 2 feet over the 500 years, definitely an improvement. With that being said, just the project in itself, it does check multiple goals in our comprehensive plan. We have a list of goals and objectives, as you all know. One of them is to provide life cycle and workforce housing. We think this definitely checks that box with our participation and then providing a max price of $190, but actually they'll explain to you they think they can get down to $180 as the base price for these new homes. One of our other objectives in the comprehensive plan is opportunities for renters to become home buyers. That is a goal of ours, to try and transition people who are maybe starting out their career right out of college to transition to be able to start a family here, buy a house here, and build their career here long term. It's a better as an investment for our community if these people are able to invest themselves and become renters and home buyers. We think this is a great opportunity for that and meets that goal. And also we have a goal in our comprehensive plan to provide alternatives for entry-level housing. I think the price point that we have on this and the style that you'll see really does meet that kind of entry level. A lot of them will kind of seem like a good first-time home buyer. We've been very fortunate to see a lot of new residential growth recently, but I don't know if the price level and what we're seeing is really first-time home buyer that we see. So we think, or necessarily entry-level housing is what we call that. So I think this proposed development plan really checks that box as well for our comprehensive plan. And then just the intent of the redevelopment project. We've been talking about this for at least a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer, of redeveloping this. It does finalize the cleanup of that area from that prior use. That's been a goal to not only help the stormwater in the area, but also just clean up from previous uses from a vacant factory, a mobile home park that was bought out. It puts the property back on the tax rolls with us owning all that for the past, I think it's been 5 years since we bought the first property, a little bit over actually. I think it was late 2014 when we first bought that, the first piece of property there. Puts it back on the tax rolls and starts getting the development back in there. And then lastly, it provides adequate home to first-time home buyers and creates opportunities for our workforce. So we knew when we wanted to redevelop this, we wanted to prioritize that objective to try and get some, like we said, workforce housing and see if we can start maybe helping our median age lower a little bit, which was when we talked about our comprehensive plan goals, that was one of them. So with all that being said, staff recommends approval of this project. There are conditions of approval that the parking has to be no parking on this southwestern side. If when the finalization of the plans comes in, if the stormwater retention areas have to change the layout, obviously they'll have to come back to you all. And then there is typically on these a 2-year requirement from on any planned development. Once it's built, you have 2 years to complete it, or else it reverts back to original zoning, which is still the case. You'll see in the ordinance because that is default language. But you'll see at your next meeting in our development plan agreement for the actual infrastructure, the goal of the requirement is to be done by May of 2021. So it's required. So that's all I have. If you have any questions for me, Planning and Zoning did unanimously vote on this on June 8th and passed their approval along as well.
So will these all be slab homes then?
There will be basements on most of them, but 4, I believe.
Yes.
3. So there you go. Yeah, they'll have basements, which was, I think, another reason to bring that 2 feet above the 500 a year so they could fit basements.
And also, like I was going to add to your too, Sal, on that parking on the one side of the street, on the side that they're not being able to park on, that's where we talked about fire hydrants.
Correct.
On that side, so it doesn't restrict anything in there as well.
Correct. So since there will be limited parking anyway, the fire hydrants have to be on the no parking side, which just makes the most sense. So that was a condition that Planning and Zoning wanted to verify.
Any other questions of Sal?
The applicant's here.
All right.
Right.
The applicant
So
is-
do we,
Want to let the applicant go?
we'll have the applicant make their presentation, and then we'll open it up if there's any comments from the audience.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so the applicant can come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Jeannie Allmiller. I am with Mcbride Homes, and I'm very happy and excited to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for selecting us to be a partner with you in this process. This will be our first project in the city. We've been anxious to enter the city for quite some time. And we're excited about this city for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, you have a long history of generational businesses in your city. Mercy, the Bush Brewery, just to name a few. We're going into our 76th year, and so we're a generational business too. So we like that connection that you have. Also, you have a lot of fun things going on in your city that we think buyers, particularly first-time buyers, are going to be very interested in. So we're very excited about this partnership. I can't tell you how much everybody at the company is just excited to be finally building in the city of Washington. So thank you for that opportunity. And so I just want to, Sal focused a lot on the site design and plan. I'll touch a little bit on that, but I want to show you the housing products because I think that that's what we're bringing to the table here and that we're very excited about, and answer your questions about that as we go along. So please stop me if you have any questions as we move through this, but I think you'll be very excited about it too. So the next slide. But I do want to say that, oh, sorry, thank you. Thank you. That was awkward to say next slide, so thank you. I do want to say, too, that we usually have a larger team with us, but due to your capacity restrictions, which we understand, we minimized our team with us tonight. But I do have Taylor Stewart from Elite, who manages our development for us. We're a partner in Elite with Bera, and he is here if I can't answer some of the more technical engineering questions. So just want to let you know that. We're actually the largest home builder in Missouri, but probably more importantly, the statistic I'm most proud about us is that we are the largest union home builder in the country. So I am very proud of that. And in fact, council member, I think you asked if we would, I think the city maintains a list of union home builders or union contractors in the city, and you asked if we would take a look at that and see if we could contract with some of those. And we certainly will take that list and look at that and be proud to contract with union contractors here in the city if we can, work out that. So I'm interested in that list. So it's a statistic we're very proud of. We're currently building in 48 neighborhoods in several counties in Missouri and one county in Illinois. We have a lot of experience in creating new neighborhoods. We have a long history in the St. Louis metropolitan area, and we're excited again to partner with you because of your strengths as a city. Here's the site as we've been discussing. Here's the zoning map showing the zoning that Sal went through just a few minutes ago. And just a reiteration of the comprehensive plan, and I like that tick the boxes phrase that was used. This does tick a lot of boxes in your comprehensive plan. Most importantly, taking this site and repurposing it for that residential, that life cycle housing that the city needs for the entry-level workforce housing. Again, two objectives and goals of the comprehensive plan: to create opportunities for renters to become homeowners, and to creation of residential zoning district which allows smaller lot sizes. Objective is to promote the construction of a variety of housing types and utilize a planned residential development zoning district, which is what's on the table for you to approve this evening, which approach and provide a mix of housing types. So this, again, is to supplement that need in that housing that we've learned that you have, which is for that entry level, that workforce ownership product. And here's a color version of the site plan. So like we were talking about, like you heard, there are lots that are going to front directly on the existing street, and then we're going to create a new street. These are 27 lots. And the city is going to essentially retain 2 acres for their greenway as part of this project. So just a recap of some of the plan features. It's a total of 5.3 acres. It's 27 single-family detached residential homes. It's 4 different home plans, and I'll go through those in more detail so you can see those in a second. Each having several different elevation choices and a large number of selection in colors and finishes, and I'll talk about that again in more detail. We have 2 or 3 bedroom plans with 1 or 2 car garage options. To answer and reiterate your question, sir, we are all about building full basements. Our preference is never to build on slabs, but because we want to keep that out of the floodplain on 3 of the lots, we're going to do slabs on 3 of the lots. All the rest will be full basements. Fully sided lawns are standard, along with a landscape package, which is standard. So, you know, these homeowners aren't going to live with seed and straw for a while. We fully sod all the lawns. We have very modern floor plans with amenities that families are truly looking for in the housing options right now. Workforce housing with incredible value. So I'm going to go through some of the plans. This is the Arlington. This is the 2-car garage option. This is a 2-story plan. And with this, you can make different color selections at the design studio. I want to just go forward real quick for our design studio picture, and then I'll go back. So I want to talk a little bit about design studio perhaps before I talk about the plans. When a customer selects a plan, they're sent to the design studio. We build 2 different ways, and we will do that here as well. We build what we call to be built. So if someone comes in and selects their lot and then selects their home type, which we're going to go through, they can build all their selections into their plan, pick their countertops, their exterior colors, their interior finishes. And we actually just opened last year our award-winning design studio, won a national award. It's actually, we're the only builder in the state of Missouri to have something like this. So this is 10,000 square feet where these to-be-built customers will be sent to make investment choices in their home. So what's great about this is if it's a family with a very fixed budget who wants to enter into home ownership, they don't have to spend a dime here. Everything's included, countertops in the price that we have in the display, when they go into the display. So they don't have to spend any extra money here, right? But if they want upgraded granite or they want some more selections, make a better investment perhaps on their cabinets, they can do that. Anything from flooring, lighting, they can do that. But what's great about it is if they don't have to. So what we believe in is the power of choice for consumers. So here you get to make those great selections with professional design consultants that can help you and guide you. They're familiar with your budget, and they help guide you to make those best investments that are best for your family. And if that isn't any, that's okay. If that's 50,000 investments, that's okay too. But what's great about it is you get to choose, and you get to choose in this well-lit environment where you're not looking at paint chips. And, you know, we've all been in the basement of displays where you're looking through little chips and dark lighting. This, you can see big selections in natural lighting. So that is located in Chesterfield. So let's talk more about the plan. So this is our 2-car garage, again, full basement. This is the Arlington. So this could either be built as a 2 or 3 bedroom plan. And you're gonna have different exterior color selections that you can make. This particular plan, as you can see, almost is standard with almost an entirely full brick frontage. And you can see in these pictures here, you can see in the bottom picture there how open these floor plans are, which is what people are really demanding now for entertaining. And you have, you know, such great places of entertainment shopping out here. I could see, you know, people after they hit the winery gathering more at the house too, and wanting the open floor plan for entertainment. You know, that flow from the kitchen to the family room, living room, which is what we offer here. Here's just a look at some of the ways you can customize even all of our plans. So you can, you know, add additional sinks. You can expand walk-in closets. You can put your laundry on the 2nd floor in a lot of these options, which one of these plans is the first house I bought as soon as I graduated. And so, you know, you're gearing toward that market of people that are graduating, that want to start a family here and want to own. So what's great about this is we offer a lot of those modern amenities that people are looking for. Like I talked about that 2nd floor laundry. What was so great is you go from the master bedroom right next door and there's your laundry. You're not taking your laundry up and down one set of stairs, much less 2. So we offer those kind of awesome options in these plans. This is the Summerfield. This will be the ranch option, all 1-story option, but again, we'll have a full basement. Nice open floor plan. 1-car garage. When I say 1-car, 2-car, that also means there will be the ability to park at least that many cars in the driveway as well. So 2-car garage, you'll be able to park 4 cars on site. Again, different options for the customer to choose: bay windows, fireplaces, powder room selections. This is the St. James, a 2-story. can be built as a 2 or 3 bedroom. Again, lots of different options for the customer to choose, even in the layout of this house. You could see a lot of big walk-in closets up there, which are in demand, open floor plan in the entertaining area between the dining room and kitchen. The Montauk, this is a great 2-story plan that can either be, that's built as a 2-bedroom, but has a very large loft up front that's has some nice light in it, natural light. This again is one of those that you can build with that laundry facility right next to the master bedroom. And just this, this is one of the smaller plans, but just how much punch we pack in this. This has a powder room on the first floor and 2 full baths on the second floor. So your master bedroom is not sharing with your child or your guests. They have 2 separate full shower facilities on the second floor, which is great. Packs a lot of punch, a lot of value, a lot of space. So those are our plans. And again, with these plans, the customer gets to select those exterior colors, their brick colors, their siding colors, their shutter colors, all of those things they get to select at the design studio, including all their interior finishes. They get to make the choice on those investments. So now I want to talk a little bit about the sample marketing, which is something we normally don't do in a zoning presentation, but our partnership with the city, we learned that it was very important for you all that we really have a goal of price point here. And that goal that the city wanted to see was $190 as the base offering price. We've taken a hard look at this in the last couple months, and we believe at least we can get down to a base pricing of $180. If not, maybe a little lower than that. So this marketing that we're showing you is based upon that $180 price point. Now, that's base pricing. A customer could build one of these houses at that price. When they go to design studio, if they choose to make other investments, obviously that's their choice, that'll raise that. But we believe that a customer would be able to buy in here at $180 at that base pricing.
On that base one, what would the square footage be?
The square footages range on all the products, but I'm going to give you a range for all of them, okay? So the minimum square footage on the smallest we would build would be about 1,020, okay? And then we go up to almost 1,450 square footage. That does not, that does not include the basement either. So with the marketing, one great question that one of your planning commissioners had when we were here before was, how are we going to marketing? I'm going to show you some marketing materials, but their question is where and how are you going to market, which I thought was a great question. And I think one of the city's goals is not only to promote this project to your existing families, your existing residents who may be thinking about starting a family, but I imagine one of your goals is to pull some folks from the metropolitan area to live here. And so one of our strengths is our marketing capability. And we find that social media marketing is really the way to market nowadays. And we have an entire marketing department in-house that does nothing but this night and day. And we're very, very successful at our marketing campaign. So for this particular project, we would target probably a priority as the metropolitan area. So we would be marketing to folks in St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and Jefferson County for this project, in addition to a local marketing campaign telling your families, your new young professionals who may want to start out and own their own home about this project. But I think very important, I want to get across, is that we will be marketing this to the broader metropolitan area. So some of the things we want to focus on when we market to the broader metropolitan area are not only the homes themselves, but the community in which these homes are going to be located. So we want to emphasize enjoyment, your surroundings, lots of pictures and advertisements about surroundings in the community. Weekend activities, things like that are going to be fun, that they can have that work-life balance. I think as part of what we're seeing right now, we're predicting in the housing market that we're going to see some percentage of permanently people who weren't working at home before, perhaps working at home for. We don't know what that percentage is, but that may stay that way, a small percentage of it. So, that work-life balance will become even more intriguing as we go forward, but a place where someone works perhaps more miles away than they perceive that they could travel to their home those barriers might not exist anymore, is what we're predicting. Don't know how much yet, but some of that will happen. So we really want to target to that lifestyle that your community offers. So we've prepared these marketing materials to emphasize those things. And we'll work on a lot more. These are just some samples. It's not something we usually do in a zoning presentation, but we're very excited about it, so we want to get a head start and share those with you. That's all I had. I wanted to just reiterate that Planning Commission was a great meeting. Lots of good questions. Some of the things that came out of that on the parking on one side of the street, that would we incorporate that into our subdivision indentures, we call them CC&Rs, absolutely. We'll incorporate those into our rules. So a lot of good questions and discussion. They had a unanimous approval. And so we are continue to be very, very excited about this partnership with you. We're very honored that you've selected us. And I'd ask for your favor of approval tonight. I will note that all the conditions that the staff has in their approval, we are in support and agreement with. So we have no issues with the conditions on the staff report. So I thank you and your staff for their tremendous work on this. We're very excited, and we're here for any questions.
Okay, do council members have any questions?
Yeah, I got one. I've been approached by a lady that lives up the street a ways, and she was concerned about, and I would be too, if I was to buy a house and you tell me I could pick out any color brick, any color siding I want, and Jeff buys the house next to me, and he puts this gaudy-ass siding on there, and ugliest brick you can think of. I mean, I've seen it in some subdivisions. That concerns me that a person would do that, and then when you wouldn't be able to sell the house next to it.
Yeah, great question. So a couple of ways to combat that. At the onset, we actually don't offer every color selection. We've excluded the purples and the yellows and things like that. We have a whole team that does nothing but focus on the design selection. That's their job, and the buying. We try to keep on, I'll say this, we try to keep up on trends because, we don't want to be so old-fashioned that buyers are going to look at us and go, that's 10 years ago, the exterior. But we don't push the limits on trends, so we're kind of conservative on that. So we want to be up to date and modern, but we don't push, you're not going to see these modern housing buildings out of
In your
us.
marketing group, do you have a select committee or something that sits down with the homeowners?
Yes, so we have the design consultants go over that. First of all, there's not an unlimited selections of siding. We select each color of siding, and none of which I believe would be offensive to anybody in this room. We don't allow the customer to bring in and say, I want this color siding. They must choose from the color siding that we offer in the design studio. And I can guarantee you none of the siding that we offer in the design studio would offend your neighbor or anything like that. It's all made to be compatible with each other and not stick out from each other, if that makes sense. So we want to give them enough opportunity to invest in their home and make it their own, make the look their own, but not be incompatible with their neighbor's house, because we don't believe it, as that person expressed to you, that makes a good community, a good cohesive community. So every color selection is compatible with the other one, I can assure you of that. And we don't let somebody just select a color and bring it in. They have to select one of our predetermined ones. And we also, on the flip side of that, we don't let the same elevation with the same color be built next door to each other, because we don't want, if you've personalized your house with, this gray brick that you love, we don't want them copying it and being the exact same house too. So we also have that rule built in the system. It can be the same color brick, but it has to be a different elevation, vice versa, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Comments? Okay.
And I'll be available if there are any other questions after the public speaks as well. I'll
Okay.
come up if you
Very
need me.
good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone here, this is a public hearing, so is there anyone here who would like to address the council or ask any questions about the development? If so, come forward. And we ask that you state your name and then your address.
I'm Dennis Schmidt, lived in Washington all my life. the 10 East 10th Street, Shamelin, Washington, Missouri. You're building another trailer court.
You think?
Has there been a traffic study on 8th and Jefferson, 8th and Locust Street?
A traffic study at 8th and Locust? Have we done a traffic study?
We have not at this time.
Okay. No, we've not done that at this time.
We have 7, 8 school buses come by the house every day when school's in session. And to me, that's going to cause a creation down below.
Okay.
But I think when you build that many homes on top of one another, you're going to end up having a mobile home. Sad to say, but that's what I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone else?
My name's Greg Brinker. I live at 823 Locust, right across the street from where it's going. To capitalize or to consider or continue with what Dennis said, I know there's only going to be one street to park on inside there, but Locust Street is not wide enough for 7 houses to have people park there. If you have 2 cars right across from each other on Locust, it's a one-way road. And the traffic he was talking about is 8th and Locust. We all know it. Williams Brothers is right there. I can't believe more people don't die at that intersection because people come flying going east to west. And when Williams Brothers does have their trucks unloading or loading or whatever, it's impossible to pull out of that intersection without crossing your fingers and hoping you don't get T-boned. You can't, because the other day I was there and where their building was, literally at the stop sign was the front end of an 18-wheeler that they were unloading on the back side on the east side of the building. So all I could see was the grill and the headlights of a Ford, truck. And like you said, the buses, I mean, and that's the other question. Why do the buses go down Jefferson, take 10th, and then go down Locust when they can just go straight down Jefferson? You got the answer? Okay. I was always curious why they did that.
We put in a new bridge at Jefferson.
Right.
8th Street there.
Right, I remember that.
When they built that bridge, apparently someone wasn't aware of this, but you can't make a right-hand turn there. If you come down Jefferson.
They widened it a little bit though. Was that not enough?
18-wheeler cannot make that turn.
No, an 18-wheeler I for sure couldn't make it, but I thought maybe it was good. Okay. I thought maybe when they widened it, it would actually be able to make it turn.
10th Street, and come down Locust, but if you start parking cars on Locust Street.
That's what I'm saying.
So, okay.
No.
All right. So what is the width of Locust Street? Do you know, John?
Can you pull that up while we're talking?
Yeah, I don't know if I can pull it up here or not, but
The other just kind of quick thing was when you have that many people in that small of an area, and I know we've had cars being broken into, everybody does, it's just garbage people are garbage people, but when you have that many cars easily accessible, I mean, they could hit 25 cars before anybody knows anything happened. I mean, I know they can do it on any street, but that is a secluded area that if it's 3 in the morning and everybody's asleep, anybody can just walk in there and do whatever they want, probably. I mean, you can do that anywhere, I get it, but it just seems like it's gonna be easier there. But my biggest concern was the width of Locust, because I parked my truck right across from the southernmost entrance to the old trailer court. I'm just above it, just south of it. And if another car parks on the other side of the street, getting just a normal sized car through, I mean, if you have 2 Priuses go by, sure, but I mean, most people don't drive them, they have bigger vehicles.
Okay.
There's not enough room for 2 cars to go through there at once.
Okay.
I don't know, I guess that's, I'm just not a fan.
That's it? Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here. So thank you.
well, John's looking at the width of Locust Street. Was there any improvements made to Locust Street for this project?
Yeah, as far as utilities go, the city we'll be increasing the water line size to the location, which I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it'll be increased, I think, to at least a 6-inch water line. And then also, once all the utility cuts are made, the street will be repaved. But as far as widening, there is no proposed widening at this time.
One more quick thing. Where my house is, the city's line, it goes at an angle. And on that picture, which is impossible to read, it looks like there's a retaining wall there. Is that what's gonna be right on the property line, right? Because if it is, from the corner of my house to that wall is gonna be about 5 feet. I don't even know if I'd be able to get I have a riding mower for the lot next to my house. I don't even know if I could get it through there if there's a wall on the line. I don't.
We'll have to look at that.
Yeah, I can't tell from that picture. Is there a blown up version of that we can look at so we can actually see? No.
They sent us, it should be embarrassing to all.
It's it's hard to read.
Or tell them things about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Was that picture in?
It was that picture, but when it's printed on a piece of paper, it looks like a mimeograph
So,
from 1983 that's
which,
been out of ink.
Sal, do you know which picture he's talking about?
I'm not sure.
The site plan?
Yeah.
Try to zoom in on Sal if you'd like.
If I need to move.
The Sterling?
Well, it was the survey from Sterling, and it said it would be like a 12-foot retaining wall that would be right next to our house.
Okay.
I was just curious
Do you
about
have
that.
a?
Yeah, it's, I don't know why it's not showing up here now.
Turn it on.
I think they can answer.
I think they can answer your question here.
Yeah.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Can we
Can you
come
come
to the
up? You
mic?
have to come up,
So
so
record. Sorry for the
we have to
inconvenience.
record all this.
I got it right here.
To answer that gentleman's question, the retaining wall will be approximately 10 feet off the property line. So there'll be room in between the property line and the start of the retaining wall.
Real quick while you're there, there's 2 trees and a bunch of crap growing there. Is that all going away?
The 2 existing trees.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask Taylor to come up, who's with the engineer.
Yeah, there's 2 trees right on the south side of my house, and one of them is right on the property line, and the other one's about 5 feet behind it. So that will probably have to go for putting a wall there, but I was just wondering
Yeah.
how it's gonna get taken care of. 'Cause
Probably don't have that detail yet, is my guess. But it's not, yeah, we probably don't have that detail yet, but I'm happy, if you give me your phone number, I can call you when we figure that out.
I showed you a picture of it. I took a picture of it. It's 314 602 2584. My
Okay.
name's Greg.
Yep, got it.
I was just curious if they're getting rid
Yep.
of those 2 trees, because I can't stand them.
When we,
Might have a little neighborhood improvement before you know it.
Fell off my roof cleaning my gutters, and I blame you people.
so you'd be in favor of the removal? Okay,
Everybody blames us.
okay.
You
Okay,
get blamed for everything.
when we get there, we'll call you.
That's the thing.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Mayor.
All right. Don't run away. We might need you again. Okay. All right. Gary, right?
Right.
Oh, but you have to give us your name.
My name's Gary Sullentrop, and I live at 15 East 10th. It's right there in the corner of Locust and 10th. And about the bus thing, there's 8 to 10 buses a day that go back and forth 2 or 3 times. And it's just not safe for the kids to even be out close to the street when that happens, because I watch them get picked up there in the corner every day. And twice I've seen 2 kids almost get run over by the bus because they got to make such a wide swing there.
Off 10th onto Locust?
Right, off of 10th onto Locust. And then you got a lot of foot traffic from kids walking to school besides coming up there all the time. There's no sidewalks or nothing there, so they got to walk in the middle of the street. And you got people zooming up and down that street all the time. You're going to add 50 more cars to it, or more. You know, it's just going to make it just a disaster there. And several kids are going to get hurt, and hopefully none of them get killed. You know, it's not safe unless you do this right and widen the street, put sidewalks up and down it. Because I fear for all them little kids that play up and down there all the time, and the ones walking to school. And I was worried about the sewer lines too. With all this going in down there, is that going to affect our sewer lines at all? Are we going to have problems with backup and And
Well, we'll
water,
maintain the sewer lines, right?
sewer mains, right.
The sewer mains will be maintained by the city. I don't think there's any plans to replace the main at this point. We're replacing water lines, right?
Yeah, we're going to be upsizing the water lines, and at that time, we'll be taking a look at the conditions of the sewer lines as well, because if you're going to cut a street, you might as well replace it all. But I'm not aware of us having any issues at that location. It is, higher up on the hillside, so.
well, there's been several trucks there holding up the manhole cover right there at the intersection.
At the intersection of
10th and Locust.
10th and Locust. I can look into that. I don't know off the top of my head what that would be, but, I mean, that's part of what we would be reviewing anyway.
I mean, we would be reviewing all that.
Yeah.
Before we're.
Okay, and like I say, I hope you take the safety factor involved. Like you said, down there on A Street, you almost
can
get
see
hit every time going out.
It's hard to see on this plan, but they are proposing a sidewalk along the east side of Locust Street. Along their development.
East side?
On the east side, yep, to where the new road is right there, down to 8th Street. And in addition, the Bush Creek Greenway will provide access from essentially the school complex, which is a 10-foot wide shared use path, coming from the high school all the way down to Jefferson Street. So this will connect to that along the creek, further down. So some of those concerns, with your sidewalk and those things, I think will be somewhat alleviated to some level, so.
Well, it looks like there's sidewalks within the subdivision.
There is, and there's also a
And then they go out onto Locust Street.
Correct. There's also a sidewalk. If you kind of see my cursor right here, Mayor, there's also a sidewalk along this as well.
There will be.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe, I'm looking at that 40-foot, Locust Street says 40-foot wide street, or right-of-way. I think from back to back, I think it's a 30-foot wide street.
30 what?
30 feet wide.
30.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
Gary, when Greg was up here, you guys were talking about the buses situation, and you think it was due to when the bridge was put in, it's not wide enough for buses to turn?
No, you can't make a right-hand turn. If you're going down Jefferson, a school bus cannot make a right-hand turn there.
On A Street?
On A Street.
Not without swinging into the turn lane.
Yeah. And there's usually traffic there in the morning, and they gotta sit there and hold up traffic till all that A Street traffic moves out.
So you're pretty sure that the school district has them go 10th Street and
I'm
go
100%
into
sure.
Locust Street?
I talked to bus drivers why they do it.
Well, it just may be a situation where if they wouldn't come down Jefferson, they would come A Street, straight east. Just a conversation with the bus company that could be changed. Because they don't need to be in a residential neighborhood 8 to 10 times a day, but really once or twice.
That was the detour when the bridge was putting in. I know that for a fact.
Right.
And I know that the bridge was widened approximately 10 feet to just, maybe not to get a 53-foot tractor trailer through it, but widened it, to the best of abilities that they could widen it to.
You need to revisit that, look at it. It's not, because you don't just turn right there. The street's back this way.
I understand.
Right.
The street's this way when they try to turn. It's not over here to the right.
Right.
We can talk to them.
But the bus comes through my neighborhood twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening.
Right.
If they came through 10 times a day, I'd be asking the bus company
Yeah.
why, and this is the same situation. So
Yeah.
why do they use that 8th and
8 to
10th?
10 buses in the morning,
Or
8 to
Locust.
10 buses at night.
I'd be curious how they did it before, because that bridge was
Correct, right.
substantially narrower.
That's something that needs to be changed regardless of this. If
Right.
their buses are on Locust Street that much.
And that's why I was concerned about the safety of those kids that are sitting out there waiting for these buses.
Sure.
Because you got other buses coming through before their bus picks them up, and they're just playing, they ain't paying attention.
Right.
They're little kids.
On that same point,
You need to come up,
jump on you. If the kids that go to school from that subdivision, are you gonna put a bus stop right there on Locust? Because now you're gonna have 4 or 5 buses again to go through. 3.
Well, we don't set up,
Yeah, we don't set the
city
bus
does not
routes. I'm
dictate-
just-
we don't set the bus routes.
Oh,
We don't set that up at all. That's the school district.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, but we're gonna still have buses going through there regardless of whether they take 8th or whatever. They're still gonna have to get onto Locust to pick those kids up, because you definitely don't wanna put a bus stop at 8th and Locust, because that's terrible.
Well, I'm not sitting here saying I can alleviate the
No,
problem.
I know,
trying
I'm
to
just
simply say
saying,
that we need to
I'm
try-
just saying, but if those kids go to school, you're gonna have buses on Locust Street. There's no way around it. Honestly. I understand what you're
Hopefully
saying.
1 or 2 instead of 10, I guess is my.
Yeah, and I mean, it's usually like 4 or 5 in a row in the afternoon, and then like 3 or 4 in the morning. And some days it's more, some days it's less. I don't know what the difference is, but it's a lot of buses. But Anybody that has kids that lives there, you're gonna have to get buses onto Locust anyway.
Greg, what did they do? I mean, were you there when the mobile home park?
I've been there since '04.
Okay, so you were there when the mobile home park was. What did they do at that? I mean, obviously they had.
It was, a lot of them walked. And there weren't a lot of kids there either.
Most of them came up Locust Street to 10th.
Gotcha.
And they all picked them up right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, and again, on the paper we had, you could not see a sidewalk. So if there is a sidewalk and they keep that bus stop right outside of your house, that's better.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that, but yeah,
Well,
but you're still gonna have
This will
buses
be a
going down.
big improvement to the community from what we had. with,
Yes, 100%. But it's way more than what it was. Towards the last 5-10 years, there was only 14 to 16 trailers in there. And I mean, only a couple of them were really being used officially. But now it's a lot more in a smaller space, actually. And it's just a lot to put into that area. That's my concern.
Duly noted.
Back to his point about the people parking on Locust. If you put that in, are the driveways going to be going off of Locust into those houses, those first 5 or 6?
There's 7 on one side and 5 on the other.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
So they'll be coming
Are they
off of
driveways going to be
Locust.
access to Locust? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're going to have parking on both sides plus the houses, right?
Well, you can park in the driveway.
You'll have driveway.
Driveway, but they're still going to park on the street too.
Well, I'm not sure where they'll park.
Yeah.
So,
But you're narrowing that street down again. And for them school buses to make that swing, they take the whole street now to get through there.
Okay.
If you add cars on both sides, it's not going to work.
okay.
It's just going to be congested.
Well, we'll have to pay attention to all that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dar Schmidt, and I agree, shame on all of you.
Okay.
We have lived there for almost 50 years now. We put up with the trailer park. I was worried about the kids getting hit. Now we're going to cram all of these homes, and if I had $180,000 to put on a home, I wouldn't build it down there in that squished up little place.
Okay.
And you're going to have all these driveways coming onto Locust. There's not going to be any place to park for these people, and they're going to swing up onto 10th Street and take our parking. And I'm going to get aggravated with that.
Okay.
And I just think shame on all of you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so any other comments from council members, staff?
Sal, was it ever discussed about Locust Street? I mean, the Walnut, the Maple Valley Court, we made it 30 feet, so we made it only parking on one side.
Correct.
But Locust is 30 feet, and we didn't make it parking on one side. Is that correct?
I don't know the width off the top of my head of what Locust is unless John just measured it. It was not discussed because it was an existing street. You know, that happens often where it's an existing street where people can do infill and, you know, we let them utilize the existing situation. I will say at planning and zoning, it was brought up about the buses. You know, like I said, we have a good relationship with the school district. If we need to make connections with them and talk about a better bus route, that would definitely be easy for us to do. We think with the new sidewalks on Locust Street, as well as the Bush Creek Greenway, the combination of those will make it safer than it is currently because they won't be waiting on the street. They won't be walking down 8th with no sidewalk. If kids who have to go to the elementary school or middle school, they'll have an actual sidewalk to wait on. Kids who currently walk to the high school will be able to have the Bush Creek Greenway, which will be completely off-street, which completely separate from this project. That was a goal of the Bush Creek Greenway to get a safe route to school for kids. And so we think the combination of those two things actually makes it a little bit safer situation. But we are more than willing to connect Mcbride or just talk to the school district ourselves and say, hey, you know, it sounds like it's not an efficient route currently. What can we do with these new homes? Maybe they use our, I'm just thinking about it, maybe they use our trailhead as a bus stop. There's gonna be a parking lot there, a nice safe area, so.
Could be.
That would work.
Was there any other opposition at planning and zoning?
No, there was one comment. I don't think the person's here.
She's not here.
Yeah, there was one comment about parking as well, I believe was the concern. And then there was a question about stormwater, just to make sure it was going to get handled, which obviously all new developments required to have stormwater detention, so.
And we looking at this for,
Actually, the question, Sal, was where the kids are gonna walk. Are they gonna walk in their backyard?
Did get brought up
Does it
about
have to
that.
get to the school?
All right, thank you. And yes, that was kind of brought up. Right now, I guess there's a lot of foot traffic, kids getting to Bush Creek Greenway through the old trailer park and then down walking through the creek. You know, that's kind of why we chose that area for the Greenway anyway. You can just look today, there's dead grass from where all the kids walk. And so we think with a designated path, that should keep people, you know, on an actual route, out of backyards, off the middle of the street.
I mean, obviously, it's dense, we know that, that's part of the subdivision plan from the beginning. This is the first opposition I've heard about it, so trying to take it all in. I guess my vision always was eliminate the trailer parks was gonna be the best case scenario. This is better than 3 apartment buildings down there with the same amount of people and less space. So I always thought this was the best case scenario. Some of the neighbors may not agree, but maybe we can address some of those issues and make it accommodating.
Right, there was, I mean, the conversation did go from, you know, more townhome multifamily style than we realized in talking with Mcbride after we selected them that the most appropriate use is single family.
Well, and I think the price range in these houses, it's gotta be a better neighborhood than what it was. So hopefully that we can work it out.
Solid with the driveways on the 7 lots on the east and the 5 lots on the west. How much room would there be in front of those houses with the driveways to park a vehicle?
Well, there's a 25-foot setback minimum, and so they at least have to be able to fit 1 car in the driveway.
Well, I'm talking about on the street. How wide are those lots?
Will the lot accommodate a driveway and a car?
I don't know what the lot width is. You guys know what the lot width is? Yeah, I mean,
You've
I would
got
think so.
those lots.
Well, the
We're
house.
having a driveway and then a parking spot.
How
Yeah,
wide are those 7 lots right there, each lot?
I couldn't tell you without zooming in there. I don't have the top of my head.
See them?
Does McBride know?
38 feet. There you go.
So 38 feet, and how wide is a driveway?
Yeah.
Well,
So you'd have another
single-car garage would be a 12-foot drive.
6 feet, right? Is my math right? Cars aren't that long, are they?
No, that's sufficient there. You get 1 car in front of the house without being in front of someone else's driveway.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's Steve's question, right?
Yeah.
So you can get 7 cars on the east side and only 5 on the west side. And I guess up from there, whoever lives up the hill, there's no driveways up the hill anymore? On the
Currently, no, because no.
Existing homes now?
Nope. There's only one, Mr. Brinker's house, and then we tore down the house to the
Yeah,
east.
There's one home that faces Locust on the west.
Mr. Brinker, right?
Yes. Yes.
Also, I can't have anybody park in front of my yard because it's a 90, sorry. I'm loud. The front of my house slopes straight down, and if these people that live here are gonna park here, I'm gonna have to ask every one of them to move their car so I can cut my grass. Otherwise, there's no way I can cut it. It literally is straight down.
Okay.
And also, the math is correct at 16 feet, but how many people have a small car as opposed to an SUV, which are between 12 and 14 feet? Even the small SUVs, my wife has an Escape, it's almost 14 feet long. It's a small SUV. That's only 2 feet. That's 1 foot here, 1 foot here. That's,
Didn't we say 26 feet?
They said 38-foot wide lot, 12.
oh, 12 foot wide. Is that a single or a double?
That's a single, that's not a double lot.
Right, well, I guess I was thinking with the double wide, I was adding the extra 12 feet to that. So that's where I was, sorry. I
We
skipped a
were
step in
doing
that.
a single driveway.
Right, but if some of those cars have, if 2 of those houses have a double car, that's when you lose the extra 12 or 8 feet, whatever it is. Anyway, on my side of the street,
Oh, sorry.
nope, no, you're good, go ahead.
So I'm just asking a question. So you're saying that no one can park adjacent to your lot?
Right in front of my house.
Because of the steepness of your yard?
Yes.
It is currently, somebody could park there legally, they could if they chose to.
Yeah, but then if I can't cut my grass and you
understand.
guys write me a ticket, we're gonna have a problem.
No, and I understand that. But what I'm saying is could we not then make that side of the street no parking?
Right, that's what I was
my
thinking.
overall concern.
That would be stellar.
And
I'm
then,
not gonna be upset about that.
and then on the east side of the street would continue to be allowed to be parked in.
Right.
With a sidewalk.
And that, Yeah, because if,
Because you're the only home that faces it.
right. Now, the other issue,
We have 5 homes.
the other issue with that is that I usually, I park in front of my house, because my wife leaves to go to work before I do. And otherwise I'd have to move my truck out of my driveway every day.
But we could.
Huh? What'd you say?
Now,
You can't.
now you won't be able to park there.
That's fine.
So
If it eliminates other people from parking there, I'll deal with it.
But we could establish, though, no parking from a certain location.
Right.
From the intersection of 10th and Locust
Right.
north. So it could not, you could just establish no parking from your driveway, just pick a number here, from your driveway to the south, to the,
To 10th.
10th Street.
You just
Yeah.
said nobody
All the
could
way to
park
10th.
by in front of your driveway, or. 'cause
But
your
they,
steep
they can
yard.
park there, but like I said, if like tonight when I get out of here, if I decide I want to cut my grass and there's 10 cars there, I have to find out who owns those 10 cars and have them move their cars. I don't.
You're
want-
okay with it being no parking from your driveway to
the south.
to the south
Yeah.
part of 10th Street,
I'll just back my truck in my yard. Yeah.
up that hill?
Yeah.
no, but we
You
could,
have
I
a
mean,
one-car
but you could
garage?
do it,
Yeah, we just have one car garage and then driveway's kind of slow. But yeah, I mean, I can park in the driveway. It's not the end of, if it means that no one else is going to park there, sign it up.
But it'd help out the bus situation.
Well, it'll help out the
will.
bus situation.
Also
and
that
it'll
too.
Still be safety for the kids.
We just keep cutting you off. Just try. Try again.
no, what I'm saying is that we could work with you and at least try to establish a no parking zone through the traffic committee on the west side of Locust Street to 10th as a solution. In addition to, you also have sidewalk on the east side as well, which, would takes the concerns of the people walking. So it seems like it would solve all these concerns pretty easily.
Yep.
Yeah. Now just get rid of those 2 trees. We're solid.
And I believe,
That's all I want.
And I-
Just
and
want
I'm-
those 2 trees
Now
gone.
you're asking.
I even
Talk
when
to
you,
them.
when you guys tore down the old Frank's house, the guy that did it for you, the contractor that did it, I bribed him. I tried to get him to tear those trees down. He wouldn't do it. I can't stand them. It's right on the property line,
All
and
right.
this whole side is
Think we
hanging
get
over
it.
my house.
So anyway, all right.
All right, I'm done.
All right, thank you.
I live next to him. I got the same problem. I got a steep hill and I can't cut my grass, but that's not why I'm up here. I think that doing away with the parking would be good. Okay, but isn't there a city ordinance against people parking in front of your house
Yes,
anyway?
there is, overnight.
Overnight, yeah, they cannot park in front on your
It's
of
by,
your
it's complaint
residence.
driven. You've got to sit there and call the police.
I think 11 o'clock at night is what the
10 or 11?
10 o'clock.
is it 10? Okay, I knew there was an ordinance against that, so.
All right.
Yep.
but yeah, you could make it though permanently no parking, which is a much easier thing to enforce.
Grass at 10 o'clock at night.
There you go. Kick the lights on.
Okay, council members, so this would close the public hearing. Do you have anything else that council members would like to add?
Motion accepted in the minutes.
Second.
Is that Joe?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept the public hearing into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you.
An ordinance rezoning 800 and 902 Locust Street from R1B Single Family Residential and C1 Light Commercial to PDR Planned Residential in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Sullentrup.
Introduced by Councilman Sullentrup. Okay, so now this is the ordinance that follows the previous item, and this is talking about zoning. This is talking about rezoning. When we talked about no parking on one side or bus traffic and all this kind of stuff, that's going to be a separate issue that the city will work with you on, right?
We'll take a look at
Okay,
the
because they'll have to go through traffic committee, there'll be a lot of things to go on, but this is all stuff that we can look into as this development moves on. But right now, what we're doing is we're talking about rezoning that property so that it can be developed. Okay, council members, are there any questions or comments? Okay,
An ordinance rezoning 800 and 902 Locust Street from R1B Single Family Residential and C1 Light Commercial to PDR Planned Residential in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Sullentrup?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Wessels.
Aye.
Obermark.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you. Okay. So that concludes the public hearing for tonight. And then there is,
One more thing. Can we make sure the people that that live on that street get the letter that's going to go to the traffic committee?
Yeah, we could, for sure. We'll get with you.
okay,
You all be aware of this letter so you can show up if you want to come and talk about it.
We'll personally place phone calls with you all.
because we have your names now.
Also, I'm the only house in that block, so I'm easy to get ahold of.
Okay. With the steep yard. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, there are other items on here, but this is just the preliminary plan, but,
Later on,
Thank
you've
you.
got a preliminary development plan and a
preliminary
final
development
development plan.
and all that. But this concludes the public hearing. I think your voices were heard. We're going to see what we can do to address your comments. So, okay? Uh-huh.
Just about 8th and Locust, is there any way that whole situation can be addressed just for the future?
Well,
We've looked at some
we've looked at
options.
some options, but they haven't panned out at this point.
How much do they want to move?
So, all right. We'll see ya.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments?
Okay, is there anyone here who would like to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda? Okay,
Report of department heads, waste connection update.
Okay. I'd like to invite Ms. Linda Jones and Mr. Ben Vanderbaan with Waste Connections. These have been our contacts as we kind of transitioned over. They were part of the proposal team. They're the ones that we call with any issues within their organization. We had it scheduled that they were going to be here during the whole COVID situation when we requested people not to show up for meetings. So I thought it was a good opportunity for them just to, put a face maybe to some of the voices, answer any questions you guys may have. I'm sure there's some. I think that the transition has gone relatively smooth. I know last week was the first week that we experienced a split week on recycling, which we were very much aware that that was going to occur. Each citizen will get a lag in recycling services for 3 weeks, 4 times a year, due to it being the first and third pickups of the month. Really, the easy way to understand that is to ask yourself 2 questions. One question being, when is my trash picked up? Second question being then, is it the first or third pickup of the month? If it is yes, put your recycling card out. If it's no, ask yourself the question next week. So it's I think as we kind of progress into this, and I know we're actively going through kind of punch list items, one being dumpster swap outs, communications to the residents. I know city staff is doing everything we can to kind of back them up when they need it. Other than that, I think it's gone relatively well. Like I said, we're just kind of wanted to introduce everybody and make sure that this partnership is going as smooth as we can. So here's a chance, and
well, thanks for having us, y'all. Like John just said, if there's anything y'all want to address with us or talk about what's been going on or anything like that, this is kind of why we're here tonight.
Well, it seems like it's going smoothly. Do you feel that way on your end as well?
Yeah. I mean, really, it's gone better than I think anybody could have anticipated. Even on our end, I mean, there's always those little bugs, that come up, and I think our guys and just the support from the city has been phenomenal.
Good.
So I think, hopefully everybody's happy, but from what we're hearing, it's very positive, and that's what we want to continue with.
Okay.
But we do want to hear, I always address my cities and say, look, it's my job. I can't always, make news good, but it's my job to tell you whatever the news is. And I will always do that, whether it's good, whether it's bad. But on the same token, you guys have to do that as well. We're trying to build a relationship here. We're trying to build a partnership. And the only way we're going to do that is if we know the bad with the good. It's so
Sure.
easy to tell the good, right? But it's not always easy to tell someone, look someone in the face and say, Mr. Lamb, you did this wrong. So I want to hear that too. Well, no, you can tell Ben. I have thin skin, I'll cry.
Ben, what's the percentage of people that you, approximately, that you think now are utilizing the recycling?
It's probably between 60, 70%. I mean, there's a good amount, and the people that are putting it out are putting a lot.
Well, and you told me the other day, it's like super clean. It's one of our cleanest.
Yeah, compared to most of the cities we're dealing with,
It's
it's
amazing.
especially that first week, it was really good. Now, there are a few that are starting to slip up a little bit, and I've already talked to John about, addressing those, because we don't want that contamination to get in that recycling. Sure. That just brings its value down, so.
Yeah.
I've had a comment made to me that we don't need to put it in recycle bins anyway because they're not recycling. It's all going in a trash truck. But my answer to them was it's a different looking truck, so it's going to recycling. We're accepting more things. I know mine's fuller than it ever has been because of the cardboard and everything else. So
yeah, and we have two separate trucks that are running. I mean, they'll see the one go by and the other. Now there are times where maybe it's a whole different truck because we need to send help up there or et cetera. If there's issues, whatever. But we always make sure, that recycling is going as recycling to our facility.
We had one thing that was interesting we talked about when we were transitioning over was the recycling center and how we were going to operate that. We initially set out, I believe, 4 8-yard single stream dumpsters out there to kind of service, keep the service kind of going the way it was. What we've noticed was that wasn't even close, the capacity that we could handle. So we increased, I think, that now to 8, and it's 2-week pickup. Those are not necessarily our citizens using that facility, okay? They are some of your small businesses and those things, which we kind of expected. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that we internally had to shuffle manpower around, and now there is we are bailing cardboard out of that facility still to this day. And I don't see how we can continue to operate like that without continuing to do that. So that's good because then we have somebody on site that can direct people because a single stream dumpster is a hot spot for contamination. So we talked with Waste Connections and worked it out to add an additional dumpster out there, a single stream dumpster, and then we are also taking the manpower and then still selling some of that cardboard to try to offset some of those things. So that will be a continual discussion, how we operate that center. Because again, you're subsidizing the residents that are not living in Washington. So just keep that in mind. Now, we also, though, hear that residents of Washington utilize the center, which to me is interesting. We've been asking them questions. Why would you go to the recycling center when you have this nice blue cart? We really just want to get out of the house, is what we've been hearing.
Well, and right now, it's different times.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just ways of how, we're kind of bending and kind of molding this thing as we move forward. I know I just talked to Ben today about coming up with a list of additional services that they provide that we can kind of all be on the same page, whether that be the on-call bulky trash or their can rentals and things like that, that they may have an idea what they can provide, but we may not know that yet. So just coming up with that list and then how do we kind of post that up on our website so people know.
I do know, I'm a maintenance man down at the local school. We have one single stream recycler in the back, and it used to be dumped on Monday and it was full by Monday night. Now it stays half full until for a whole week. So having the recycling in the city has been awesome. I think everybody's really excited about it, and I know I fill mine every week, every 2 weeks. So it's pretty awesome.
Good, that's awesome.
Yeah, the one other concern I had was a few elderly who didn't want the recycle bin. A few people were like, I don't even want it. Why did they bring it to me? But just like we talked through, set it back out, make the phone call, and everyone that complained has had theirs picked up, and they've been receptive to it, and it's been fine. So
yeah, we've worked that as well, worked it out as well as far as us keeping a stock of those carts within city limits, and that way, if there is a call that comes in, it's just as easy for us to go pick it up and service that thing and get that out of there or deliver it as fast as we can, because it saves them a trip, and quite honestly, the bureaucracy of it doesn't make any sense. Let's just get it taken care of and moving on with life.
I think that driver would let me drive that truck is so cool. I want to sit down.
I've driven it
I
once.
thought there were two of them, two guys in there, and he's doing that all by himself. Man, that is very cool.
We'll let you get a picture of it.
Biggest
Not
thing,
him, he don't like the cans.
Those big cans that's a handful.
He's able to do it now. He's fine.
the biggest thing there is making sure that those cans are placed the right direction and try to keep them away from other objects. Because if it's next to an object and they can't use that robotic arm, it does slow the operation down. So that's just, we'll get there. So.
Well, good.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you guys
Thanks
so
for
much
coming,
and
guys.
giving us the opportunity, so.
Okay, great.
Anything you need, John knows how to get hold of me
We have
anytime.
a fair coming up sometime.
Yeah, the fair was actually canceled this year. So we'll work that out. So
Okay.
I know we've been
We've
talking.
lost all of our chances to do those things.
Okay, well,
There'll be
maybe we
something.
can do a big truck rally or something like that later
Yeah,
in the fall.
I know
Kids
s-
love, and love big trucks, so,
Right.
Oh, that'd be good.
So do some of our seniors.
yeah. I don't know, something, to get us kind of involved in the community, so.
We'll be talking about
All
that.
right,
So.
thanks.
Okay,
Thank you
very
all
good.
much.
Thank you
Guys,
for
thanks for
being
coming.
here. Was there anyone else with department heads?
Department heads.
Any other department heads have anything?
I just want to add one thing about the trail real quick. So
Okay.
I know we kind of skimmed over that a little bit as far as what's going on the Riverfront Trail. There's been a lot of movement down there, basically in the past 2 days. The river levels have dropped to where they think they can actually start removing that rock. I know Wayne hit on it a little bit, but the trail will be closed a little further to the west while we allow for that rock to be hauled at a close location. Engineering's bidding the trail right now to get repaved. That'll be at the paper on Wednesday. So we're moving pretty quick, pending a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things have to happen, but we're looking at sometime around an early fall situation to where that thing may be back open. So Mother Nature needs to keep up with what she's doing, and we're freeing up all manpower within the street department and parks department to get that thing base rocked and ready to go for paving. So just so you all know.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an amendment to sale contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, the County of Franklin, Missouri, and B&M Metro Properties, LLC.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holdmeyer. This is the property off of South Point Road.
Correct. This is the property. This extends it for another
Extends it,
60 days.
60 days.
extends the
Thank-
contract for 60 days.
But that's all that it does.
Right.
Just extends it.
Correct.
County have to do the ordinance too?
They've done it already.
I have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an amendment to sale contract by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, the County of Franklin, Missouri, and B&M Metro Properties, LLC. Sullentrop?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Atticus?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Wessels?
Aye.
Obermark?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, and SN Partners, Stutzel, Missouri, and amend the 2019-2020 budget.
Solotrup.
Introduced by Councilman Sullentrop. This is the
Sludge spreader.
sludge
Sludge
spreader
yes,
that
that
we're
we discussed
having,
in the
that we discussed in the workshop.
Right.
So, any questions, comments? Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri, and SN Partners, Stutzel, Missouri, and amend the 2019-2020 budget. Sullentrop? Scornia?
Yes.
Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Atticus?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Wessels? Obermark?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a purchase agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Radiocom Company and amend the 2019-2020 budget.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. This is the radios for the backup, what we talked about in no. So these are the radios that will be at the firehouse. So, okay, any questions?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a purchase agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Radiocom Company and amend the 2019-2020 budget. Sullentrup.
Yes.
Scornia.
Yes.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Atke.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Wessels. Obermark.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Compass Minerals America, Inc., Overland Park, Kansas.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Patke. This is for the salt,
Correct.
okay?
I don't know
One.
if there's any.
Do you want to say something? Anyone
Nope.
have any questions?
Nope.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Compass Minerals America, Inc., Overland Park, Kansas. Sullentrup. Scornia.
Yes.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
Heidrich. Wessels. Obermark.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
We can build a big.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Civic Plus and to approve the purchase of Civic Rec software by the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. This is the Civic Rec software for the Parks Department. Talked about it earlier.
That's correct. I don't think so.
An ordinance accepting the bid from Civic Plus and to approve the purchase of Civic Rec software by the City of Washington, Missouri. Sullentrup. Scornia.
Yes.
Holtmeyer. Patke.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Wessels. Obermark.
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Commission, committee, and board reports. A resolution approving the preliminary development plan submitted by Mcbride, Washington, LLC for the property located at 800 and 902 Locust Street, Washington, Missouri.
Resolution.
It's a resolution, so.
Yeah, the first
we
one's a
have
resolution, second one. So these next two are just, the first one's a resolution for the preliminary, the second is for a final. In this case, since they are ready, they've actually already submitted improvement plans, they're kind of ahead of it. We're requesting to approve both on the same night. Just like we do with final plats, sometimes you have time between if it needs to be finalized, but in this case, we're ready to do both tonight. I don't see them, they may have thought that that was the last vote tonight, so.
They left.
Sal, I have a question on
Yes.
the trailer park. When the trailer park was full, how many pads were there?
32.
Hey,
There you
would
go,
know.
see?
You would know.
There you go. I was gonna say I can count them real quick, but there you go, 32.
So it's less dense than what it was.
Beforehand.
Sal, are we going to make sure we get the said neighbor improvements or in on this? Or is that part of this, or are we adding that later, or
You're talking
how?
about like the escrow requirement?
Well, no, the parking.
Oh, well, and so I'm glad that you guys brought up for the traffic committee, because I would prefer to get the traffic committee's input on that, because we haven't looked at it yet. I don't know exactly where the most appropriate part to start and stop that is.
They meet Friday.
There you go. I don't want to add that to this development plan with a condition. At the end of the day, whether it's on there or not, it's a public street, it's the city street. We could always change the parking on that. We could do that at any time.
Okay.
So there's no reason to tie it to this ordinance.
Yeah, you don't have to tie it to this.
I know, I'm just making sure we don't forget it.
Because, well, even if we don't do it, and their fears come to fruition, and there is parking problems, or there's problems with the school buses, the traffic committee can address that at that point anyway.
Okay. All right.
So,
We think that street's 32 feet. We were just
I
talking
think it's
about it,
32, but
there is,
I didn't
one of those aerials that Sal had in the thing, you can see going up Locust Street, there's 2 cars parked on either side. So they do it. It's further up, and so.
Yeah, it looks like there's plenty on that picture.
We'll have to look at it.
Traffic committee can definitely put some input, and I don't think McBride's gonna mind if we need to do no parking on one side. It's not gonna kill the deal.
Wasn't it a 28-foot wide street? We made all the 28-foot wide streets. We can only have parking on one side.
30 feet. So that was a new rule in 2017 on cul-de-sacs with a certain amount of homes. It's 30 feet with parking on one side.
But is that only a cul-de-sac?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Or a terminated street. It can't go through to have through traffic.
Okay. So.
On a newly developed street.
Yeah.
On a new-
So we could still do it on Locust. I mean, we'd do no parking on one side. I'm just saying, like, when,
You can wait till development gets done and then add the parking restriction at a later date anyway.
Yeah, to see how it works out.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, currently today, with the houses that were there demolished on the east side, it was parking on both sides. Now, we agree it's not 7 lots, but there were still 2 houses that existed there at one time.
I still think, we talked
Yeah.
about going to 10th Street with the non-parking. I think what the traffic committee ought to look at is going all the way to 11th Street, because the buses are going to come from 11th Street. They're going to be coming all the way down or up. I mean, people don't park on that side of the street anyway, so.
Right.
You want to make it safe all the way up for the buses.
I think it makes sense.
We've got a meeting.
That's a lot of buses.
We've got a meeting with the school district next Monday, so maybe we can bring it up to their attention at that time. Just talk about how they
Well, hopefully, traffic on Friday, school district on Monday, and we get the ball rolling at what works best.
so here you go.
Okay, so we have a motion,
Second.
and now we have a second. So we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Patke, to approve the resolution for the preliminary development plan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the plan. Thank you.
An ordinance approving the final development plan submitted by McBride, Washington LLC for the property located at 800 and 902 Locust Street, Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. This is the ordinance that follows the previous resolution.
Correct.
Makes it all official. Any questions or comments?
An ordinance approving the final development plan submitted by McBride, Washington LLC for the property located at 800 and 902 Locust Street, Washington, Missouri. Sullentrup? Scornia?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Wessels? Obermark?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance.
Mayor's report?
Did you have something, Sal?
I was just going to add on 8C, on what the reason I got postponed, what you have in your packet, that development agreement, it's going to be very similar to what you'll see on the 20th, if you have any questions on that. We wanted to add some protections that, God forbid, that for some reason McBride walks away from this, that they can't, or decide not to develop, we should say. They can't just resell to somebody else. They have to resell it back to us so we can make sure we have, another chance to redevelop it and put, the same bid out. We went back and forth on some of the protections and the timeline. We decided late today that what we're going to do on the 20th is actually amend the contract to simplify it and then pass this development agreement with the protections that we've agreed to. So we talked to their attorney today, and we've come to terms on the way those protections are going to be in there, but we just didn't have it ready tonight, so that's why it's getting pushed.
Okay.
But Section 4 in there is the main bulk, the list of exactly what they're going to do and what we're going to do. That's not going to change. That Section 5 language is just some language to make both parties comfortable is going to be added.
Okay. Any questions of Sal?
Nope.
Okay. I just was going to comment on just, first of all, the good news about sales tax, considering everything we've gone through in the last few months, allows us to continue to move forward with our plans. And wow, we live in a great community. So anyway, and now I think to see this, it's been a long time since we've been talking about redeveloping that Locust Street property, and to see that finally getting closer and actually happening is pretty exciting. So a lot of good things going on. So that's really all I have.
City Administrator's Report, Future CARES Act reimbursable requests.
I just wanted to bring the item up. The mayor and I had a discussion with Presiding Commissioner Brinker at some point during the COVID, this might have been back in April or May, about items that are eligible for reimbursement. We understood that part of what the county was looking into was some software solutions that would make it a little bit more customer friendly, so that people wouldn't have to come into the county. I think there's a way for you to pay for your taxes online, but they were going to do something. I don't know what the details of it were, but it kind of opened up a new thing for us to consider and take a look at for not only meet the objectives of what we've been trying to do for customer service that Wayne was talking about earlier tonight at the workshop, but also it's COVID related too, because of the fact of that's less interaction, that people have to come up to City Hall to go ahead and do business. So with that being said, there's a couple of things that we're going to be looking at. One of the things we're going to be looking at probably is Wayne software with regards to that, because the county's doing something similar, although it's not parks related because they don't have a parks department, but it's still in that same thing of letting customers go ahead and acquire things or make reservations online and not have to come physically up to City Hall. So we're going to be submitting those for CARES Act reimbursement. Another thing, though, that came up with it that we've been working on was a little bit of better security at City Hall. A lot of city halls that are being, I get a lot of feedback from some of the consulting engineers that go to various different city halls, et cetera, and ours is fairly open compared to others where you've got to check in, you've got to go ahead and do. So we've been looking at a security system for the last year, kind of what we could do for our employees as they go from door to door, from floor to floor, so to speak, within City Hall. And one of the ideas that kind of came up that we've got our committee that kind of reviews these expenses would be is to have basically a front desk that would be located right outside this wall out here in the lobby. And at that location, you can come in and pay for your utility bill. You can come in and pay for park reservations if you want. You can pick up a building permit. If you've got an appointment with John or myself, Sal, anybody here at City Hall, then they can go ahead and check, oh yeah, we've got you, and then they buzz them and let them go through whatever doors that they need to do. So we have asked Gary Tersluzzi to go ahead and take a look at this to see what we can do to incorporate what NOC has already done some homework on these security badges, et cetera. That could be, I've been told as well that it could be something as simple as use your phone to go ahead and get right through the door through the security system. That's one of the things they're taking a look at. But we are going to look to see about getting that then reimbursed as well. We brought that up with Commissioner Brinker in that same conversation. And so, but we feel that it's something that if we could definitely go ahead and get covered through that, now is the opportunity to go ahead and take care of that. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention tonight. We will have, as we move along and get a better set of plans, I'll go ahead and have that maybe at a workshop next month. So. The second item was to follow up on our discussion that we had at the last council meeting with regards to, I guess, our facilities, primarily our parks facilities, and the size of mass gatherings, and if we wanted to go ahead and put restrictions on those. Like I said, staff has been utilizing the CDC guidelines. That's what we have told the chamber. That's also what we told the Downtown Washington Inc., especially when they were looking at rescheduling the Art Fair and Wine Fest to sometime in July. Now their board decided to go ahead on their own and cancel that, but that was our recommendation. We told them at that time was to stick with those CDC guidelines. So that's what we will continue to do unless I hear something different from the council with regards to our facilities, and that's where we started the conversation at our last city council meeting, and I wanted to bring it up again tonight to see if you had any other discussion with regards to it. Again, keep in mind this would not do anything for private facilities. For example, if the Knights of Columbus wanted to do a similar event to what they just had this last weekend, or if the Elks had a wedding reception, et cetera, it's my understanding that's you're on your own to do social distancing, and they can go ahead and have their facilities and do that. I'm just talking about our facilities and what we have the ability to regulate, based upon those CDC guidelines.
Any comments, questions?
Do you need backup from us because of the conversations that you're having now?
No, I want to make sure that the council understands that that's what we're telling. So for example, if, we have yet to meet with the organizers of Oxfest, but if they come to us, we're going to probably tell them, sorry, but, based upon your past attendance that you've had and the fact that you're going to hold this on a weekend, we anticipate that you're going to have 1,000 people or more there. And that goes way beyond what the CDC guidelines are for mass gatherings under the minimum to moderate transmission rate that we're at right now.
Even if they can show you on paper how they can separate all the people out?
I think it'd be very difficult, Steve, because people are still going to go ahead and congregate at those events. I'm not aware of a concert yet other than a winery that's going on during this summer.
So is this a temporary thing?
Yeah, obviously, and if something would change in August that would all of a sudden change where we're at in that transmission rate and change those guidelines, well, then we would sit there and say, yeah, we need to reevaluate this again.
Because obviously you wouldn't be able to have the fair at all.
Right. And the fair is aware of that. As a matter of fact, that's the first time that this issue came up, was due to the fact when the chamber was struggling, I think, at the time with whether or not to have it. They had some fair board members that thought they should wait until maybe the state fair was going to happen or not. But they were also just concerned about how are they going to go ahead. And the problem is, too, I think if we wait too long, these people get things in advance. They get, their insurance in advance. They have to book music in advance. So, when you have these things, you need to do some planning, and that was what the fair was running into, was they were losing time. They needed to go ahead and make a decision. So that's when these first guidelines came up. And if they change, we're all about it, but I'm just saying we have to go by some guidelines, and that's what we've gone with. And that's why we've told, even though they might push that 250 number, I was at the Sunset on the Riverfront, the last one. I know they pushed over the 250. Was it in the thousands? No, but again, it was a local crowd, and it was, that was about the size. It was on a Thursday night, and that's the size that we said we'll try it. Huh?
How would you regulate that?
The only thing you regulate that is if you just sit there and said, hey, look, the last time you had too many people there, and we're not going to rent to you again. Unless you show us some way that you can keep it at 250 people or less. Because those are our facilities to rent. Same way, it's just like when we open up the baseball fields. We decided to go ahead and open those up, and we let that open to anybody. We can't sit there. Wayne called me up and said, well, we got this tournament. I was like, if one field is open, they're all open. So that's how we move forward with the baseball fields. But then again, there's not large mass gatherings for those baseball games. We're not quite at those numbers.
Is there any large gatherings other than, obviously, the fair, Oxfest, you see in the foreseeable future?
I think Oxfest was the only one that I know that comes up. They rent that on their own for their facility. The Brewfest, is that JC's?
That's a typical music at the market night.
Well, and also, I'm just thinking, has downtown done anything about
The Arden
Rath Festival?
Yeah, so that you might have that comes up in
Rath
September
Festival
as
is
well.
the fourth weekend,
The
and
night,
I haven't heard anything about that.
17th or 19th, something like that. They have it planned because they want to close more streets.
Sunset on the River, are they gonna have that this month?
They had it last month. I think unless we tell them otherwise, they plan on having it again. They did do some steps in that case, and I think what made us feel a little bit more comfortable with that, although that's probably, honestly, the event that probably pushes that number the hardest. But they set out the beer tents, et cetera. Those were set out. They weren't all congregated in one spot where you just got your tickets here, and then you had to get your beer, drinks right here, and that's where a lot of people then would congregate, and they would do. So they spread all that out, and that kind of helped. So
We talked about that at the end of the park board meeting last week. A few people had concerns about it. Their suggestion was some signage to promote social distancing. In my book, that doesn't help anything, but it helps those people who want to see social distancing.
But if it's not taking place, it's not taking place, and so that's when we get the complaints, and
Right. Right.
Decorations.
Right.
Darren, I think you have to have some kind of guidelines. You just have to.
Can't
I
make
think.
them up.
And so CDC is not, I don't think they're crazy strict.
No.
You know, there's some communities that are doing a whole lot more.
Right.
And some states now doing a whole lot more. So I think you have to have something. And then, you know, you go with them, and you've used it a couple times. So for consistency's sake, I think you need to use it.
Okay. The other, I mean, both Downtown Washington Chamber realize that. They've kind of made their plans around that for the most part. And if things change and those guidelines change, we'll be quick to let those other entities know, are the typical users of the larger mass gatherings. So if I'm hearing that correctly by the council, we'll keep moving with those guidelines.
So how can they have the CDC guidelines and have a state fair?
I think that would be a question you would have to ask the governor's office.
We all know it can't be done, and they're letting them have it.
Right.
Are they having the full gamut of the state fair, or have
Very
they,
different.
Yeah.
like the concerts and all of that?
Yeah. I just don't know how
It
the
doesn't
state,
make sense.
the
You're
state can tell you, you gotta go by CDC guidelines, and then say, but we're gonna put
But
on a
we're gonna
state
have the
fair, and
fair.
everybody and their brother's gonna be there.
That's been a concern that we've had to deal with this entire time.
Yep.
So, those are the only two items I had, but I do have a few items for you in executive session, so.
Oh, we didn't get a text on that.
Yeah, I know. I know you didn't get a text. But
Council comments?
Are there any council comments this evening?
Yes, I just have one to Mark. What did the Special Road District do on July 1st? We were supposed to get an answer.
We're going to talk about that, I think, in closed session.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO. Solmtrop?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Wessels? Obermark?
Aye.